The morning of my 18th birthday, I walked into the kitchen expecting a hug, or maybe just a happy birthday written on the whiteboard. Instead, I found my entire family crowded around the dining table, their voices rising in a chaotic argument. My mother was holding up color swatches, screaming about shades of pink, while my father was on the phone trying to secure a DJ. My younger sister, Romy, was sitting on the counter, critiquing table settings for a party that was still 2 months away. "Can we focus?" Romy snapped, not even looking at me. "The floral arch needs to be bigger. It's my sweet 16. It has to be iconic." I stood in the doorway, clutching my backpack strap. "Hey," I said, my voice small. "Do you guys know what today is?" My mother waved a hand at me without looking up. "Paya, not now. We are in a crisis with the venue. Grab some toast." "It's my birthday," I said, louder this time. "I'm 18 today." The room went silent for exactly 2 seconds. Then, my dad sighed, putting his hand over his phone microphone. "Paya, please, we're swamped. We'll do something next weekend. Today is about priorities." Romy snorted, hopping off the counter. 18 isn't even a real milestone. Stop being jealous. This is my moment." I felt a cold numbness spread through my chest. Then my mother delivered the final blow. "Oh, Paya, about that dinner reservation tonight? I had to cancel it. We needed the deposit money for Romy's chocolate fountain. We can order pizza later, okay?" I stood there, staring at the people who were supposed to love me. My hands started to shake, not from sadness, but from a rage so hot it felt like it was burning my skin. They canceled my birthday dinner for a chocolate fountain. They didn't just forget, they remembered and chose to erase it. "Pizza," I whispered. "You canceled my 18th birthday dinner for a fountain." "Don't be dramatic," my mother said, turning back to her color swatches. "You're an adult now, act like one." That was the moment something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was quiet, like a wire being cut. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things, I just nodded slowly. "You're right," I said calmly. "I am an adult." I turned around and walked up the stairs. My heart was pounding in my ears. I went into my room, grabbed my duffel bag, and started throwing in clothes. I packed my laptop, my chargers, and my toothbrush. Then I walked into the hallway where the family's high-speed Wi-Fi router sat blinking on a small table. I had bought that router 3 months ago with money from my part-time job at the library because our old one couldn't handle Romy's constant streaming. It was legally mine. My name was on the receipt in my pocket. I reached out, unplugged the cords, and shoved the device into my bag. The blinking blue lights went dark. Downstairs, the smart speakers cut out. I walked out of the house without saying a word. The silence downstairs was suddenly replaced by confused shouting. "Why did the music stop?" Romy shrieked. "The internet is down," my dad yelled. I was in the middle of a transaction. I closed the front door softly behind me and started walking. The morning air was cool, but my face felt hot. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall until I was far enough away. I walked 3 miles to my cousin Greer's apartment complex. My shoulders ached from the heavy bag, but the weight felt like freedom. By the time I reached Greer's building, my phone was blowing up. "Romy, 5 missed calls." "Mom, 3 missed calls." "Romy, what did you do?" "Romy, fix the WiFi now." "Romy, Mom says bring it back." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the block button. For years, I had been the one to fix everything. If the printer jammed, Paya fixed it. If Romy forgot her homework, Paya drove it to school. If the internet lagged, Paya reset the modem. I was their invisible tech support and emotional punching bag. I pressed the block button on Romy's number. Then I pressed it on Mom's. I took a deep breath, buzzed Greer's apartment number, and waited for the door to click open. Greer opened her door and took one look at my face. She didn't ask why I was there with a duffel bag on a Tuesday morning. She just pulled me into a hug that squeezed the air out of my lungs. "I've got you," she whispered into my hair. "Come inside." Greer was 24 and the only person in our family who understood what it was like to be the other child. She had moved out the second she graduated college and rarely visited. I sat on her couch, finally letting the tears fall. I told her everything, the swatches, the chocolate fountain, the not a real milestone comment. Greer listened, her jaw tightening with every sentence. "They are unbelievable," she said, handing me a mug of tea. "But you are a legend for taking the router." She pulled out her phone and opened Instagram. "Look at this." She showed me Romy's story. It was a video of Romy crying, holding her phone up to the ceiling. The caption read, "Can't believe MY's sister ruined everything. Victim." In the background of the video, I could hear my mother screaming, "Does anyone know how to use a hotspot? The printer won't work." For the first time all day, a laugh bubbled up in my throat. It started small, but soon I was laughing so hard my stomach hurt. They were helpless without me. My laughter faded when a text from my father came through. I hadn't blocked him yet because part of me, the stupid, hopeful part, thought maybe he would apologize. "Dad, come home. You're being childish. We need the router for bill payments and work. Stop this nonsense immediately." I stared at the words. Childish. Not a single mention of my birthday. Not a happy birthday, Paya. Just a demand for utility. To them, I wasn't a daughter. I was an appliance that had malfunctioned. I typed back slowly, my fingers trembling. "Me, it's my router. I bought it with my own money. Check the receipt. I'm not coming back." "Dad, we provide a roof over your head. You owe us." "Me, I'm not under your roof anymore. Good luck with the bills." I blocked him too. It felt like cutting an anchor loose. I looked around Greer's small, cluttered living room. It wasn't fancy. The paint was peeling in the corner and the furniture was mismatched thrift store finds, but it was quiet. There was no screaming. There was no Romy demanding attention. "You can stay here as long as you need," Greer said, noticing me looking around. "The couch isn't great, but it's a verified drama-free zone." "Thank you," I whispered. "I just need a few days to figure things out." "Take a month," she smiled. "We'll order takeout tonight, real food, not pizza." That night, lying on Greer's lumpy couch, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying memories, connecting dots I had ignored for years. It wasn't just today. It was a pattern that stretched back as long as I could remember. I remembered my 14th birthday. I had asked for a sketchbook. Instead, I got a chore chart because Mom said I needed to learn responsibility. 2 months later, for Romy's 12th birthday, she got a brand new iPad because she needed a creative outlet. I remembered when I won the district art competition in 10th grade. I came home beaming, holding the trophy. Mom barely looked at it because Romy had chipped a nail at cheerleading practice and was having a meltdown. My trophy ended up gathering dust on top of the fridge, eventually moved to the garage to make space for Romy's dance trophies. I had always told myself it was normal, that Romy just needed more help. That being the eldest meant being the strong one. But lying there in the dark, I realized it wasn't strength. It was erasure. They had trained me to be invisible so Romy could shine brighter. Taking the router wasn't just about the internet. It was about forcing them to see the empty space I left behind. For the first time in my life, my absence was making more noise than my presence ever did. The next morning, Greer and I sat at her small kitchen table. She made pancakes, stacking them high on a plate with a candle stuck in the top one. "Make a wish," she said softly. I closed my eyes. I didn't wish for a car or a boyfriend or money. I wished for strength. I blew out the candle and we ate in comfortable silence. "So," Greer said, pouring syrup, "I saw the family group chat. It's a war zone." "I'm not in it," I said. "I left it yesterday." "Smart," she nodded. "But just so you know, the chaos is real. Apparently, your mom didn't realize the entire smart home system was linked to that specific network configuration you set up. The thermostat is stuck on 62 degrees, and they can't unlock the digital front lock from their phones." "They have physical keys," I said, rolling my eyes. "They forgot where they put them," Greer laughed. "Romy is losing her mind because she can't upload her Get Ready With Me videos in high def. She's using data, and Dad is screaming about the overage charges." Hearing this gave me a strange sense of validation. I wasn't crazy. I did do everything for them. Greer reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I left for the same reason, she said. Different flavor, same toxicity. You did the right thing, Paya. Don't let them guilt you back. By day 3, the fallout had moved beyond the house. Romy's Sweet 16 planning was entirely digital, and I was the admin for everything. I controlled the shared calendar, the vendor emails, and the budget spreadsheets. Without the Wi-Fi, and without me to manage the passwords, things were falling apart. Greer showed me a screenshot from Romy's Instagram. She was ranting in her car. So, apparently, if you don't confirm the photographer within 24 hours, they drop you. And nobody told me. My sister usually handles this stuff, but she's having a midlife crisis at 18. Now we have no photographer for the party. The comments section was a mix of sympathy for Romy and confusion. User 123, why didn't you just confirm it yourself? Romy reply, I'm the birthday girl. I shouldn't have to do admin work. I felt a twinge of guilt, the old instinct to fix it flaring up. I knew the photographer's number by heart. I could call him right now and beg him to take them back. I reached for my phone. Greer, watching me closely, spoke up. Don't you dare. I know how much she wanted that photographer, I said weaky. And you wanted a birthday dinner, Greer reminded me. Let them figure it out. If Romy wants a party, Romy can plan it. I put the phone down. She was right. If I fixed this, I would just be proving that I was still at their beck and call. I had to let them fail. My phone rang that afternoon from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Hello. Paya, it's Aunt Leocadia. My breath hitched. Aunt Leocadia was my dad's older sister. She was strict, formidable, and rarely got involved in family drama. Hi, Aunt Leo, I said, my voice trembling. I heard a very interesting story from your mother today, she said, her voice crisp. She claims you stole equipment and ran away to join a cult. I wanted to hear the truth. I took a deep breath and told her everything. I told her about the forgotten birthday, the canceled dinner, the years of being the invisible servant. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end. I see, she said finally. The sharpness was gone from her voice, replaced by a heavy sigh. Paya, I owe you an apology. You do? I asked, confused. We all saw it, she said. We saw how they treated you compared to Romy. We stayed silent because we didn't want to cause a rift, but that was wrong. Ignoring your 18th birthday is unforgivable. Hearing an adult, someone I respected, validate my feelings broke the dam I had built around my heart. I wasn't being a brat. I was being mistreated. Stay with Greer, Aunt Leocadia said firmly. Do not go back until they learn respect, and if you need money for groceries, you call me. The next day, there was a frantic knocking at Greer's door. I froze. Greer looked through the peephole and sighed. It's your mom. My stomach dropped. Don't open it. I have to, Greer said gently. She knows you're here. Better to face it now with me standing right next to you. Greer opened the door. My mother stood there, looking disheveled. Her hair wasn't perfectly styled, and she looked tired. She marched in without waiting for an invitation, her eyes locking onto me. Paya, this has gone on long enough, she said, her voice tight. Get your bag, we're going home. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't say happy birthday. No, I said, standing up. Excuse me, she looked shocked. I said no, I'm not coming home. Paya, stop this act. The caterer needs the final head count by Friday, and I can't find the login for the guest list. Romy is hysterical. We need you to handle the vendors. I stared at her. That's why you're here, not because you miss me, but because you need a party planner. We need our daughter home, she snapped. And yes, we need help. We are a family. We help each other. You didn't help me celebrate my birthday, I said quietly. You canceled it. Oh, for heaven's sake, we said we'd do it later. Why are you so selfish? Get out, Greer said, stepping between us. Her voice was low and dangerous. Aunt Susan, get out of my apartment before I call the police. My mother looked at Greer, then back at me. You're making a huge mistake, Paya. Don't expect us to support you if you walk away." "I don't," I said, and for the first time I meant it. After my mother left, the apartment felt heavy. I sat on the floor, feeling drained. But that evening, Greer had another surprise. Two of her friends, bold and artistic girls named Sam and Maya, came over. "Greer told us you missed a party," Sam said, holding up a box of cupcakes. "So we brought the party to you." They didn't know me, but they treated me with more warmth in 2 hours than my family had in years. We sat on the floor, eating cupcakes and listening to music. They asked me about my interests, my art, my plans for the future. They listened when I spoke. "I actually like coding," I admitted shyly. "I built the family's smart home system from scratch. I like making things work." "That's amazing," Maya said. "You know, my company is looking for digital media interns. You should apply. You clearly have the skills." I looked at her, surprised. "Really? I don't have a degree yet." "You have a portfolio of real-world experience," she pointed out. "You managed a household's entire digital infrastructure. That counts." For the first time, I saw my skills not as chores, but as assets. My family had exploited me, but in doing so, they had accidentally trained me to be competent. The next week was a blur of activity. With Greer's help, I polished my resume. I listed all the skills I had learned running my family's life: vendor management, network troubleshooting, digital scheduling, budget tracking. I applied for the internship Maya mentioned. I also applied to 3 others. I spent my days at the local library, since I had my own laptop but didn't want to use all of Greer's bandwidth, working on coding projects to build a portfolio. I felt a strange sense of purpose. I wasn't Paya the helper anymore. I was Paya the creator. Meanwhile, the silence from my family was deafening. They hadn't called since Mom's visit. I assumed they were angry, or maybe they were just drowning in the chaos of the Sweet 16 planning. I checked Romy's social media from a burner account I made. It was a disaster. She posted a video complaining that the custom napkins came in the wrong color, neon orange instead of blush pink. "Why does everything keep going wrong?" she captioned it. I knew why. The napkin vendor required approval on a specific portal that I used to manage. Without me checking the notifications, the order auto-defaulted to the seasonal special, which was apparently Halloween orange. I closed the tab, feeling a mix of pity and relief. Not my problem. 2 days later, my dad showed up. I watched from the window as he pulled up to the curb. He didn't come to the door, though. He opened his trunk, took out a large cardboard box, and dumped it on the sidewalk. Then he got back in his car and drove away. My heart pounded as I ran downstairs. The box was taped shut. Written on the side in Sharpie was, "Paya's stuff." I dragged it upstairs. Inside, my parents had thrown everything from my room. My clothes, my books, my art supplies. It was all jumbled together, careless and messy. Some of my sketches were bent. My favorite mug was broken. On top of the pile was a note in my dad's handwriting. "If you're going to act like you don't live with us, you don't need this stuff taking up space. We are turning your room into a guest suite for the relatives coming for the party." I stared at the note. They weren't trying to win me back. They were trying to hurt me. They were trying to show me that I was replaceable. "Wow," Greer said, looking at the box. "They really are doubling down on being terrible." "It's okay," I said, my voice steady. "Now I don't have to go back to get the rest of my things." I looked at the broken mug. It hurt, yes, but it also felt final. They had evicted me from their lives to make room for a party. That told me everything I needed to know about where I stood. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from a new number. "Romy, I'm sorry, okay." I stared at it. It was the first apology I had received. But before I could type a response, another text came through. "Romy, I need you to fix the playlist. The DJ late because Dad argued with him about the deposit. I need you to make a mix, please. It's my Sweet 16. I sighed. The apology was a Trojan horse. She didn't care about my feelings. She cared about her music. "Romy, are you there? Don't be a bitch. You're ruining my life on purpose. Why are you being like this?" I didn't respond. I just deleted the thread. The guilt that used to control me was fading, replaced by a clarity that was almost cold. They didn't miss me. They missed my labor. I went back to my coding project. I was building a website for a mock bakery, testing out different layout scripts. It was intricate, difficult work, and I loved it. Every line of code I wrote was something that belonged to me, something they couldn't take credit for. I got the interview for the internship. It was a video call with a woman named Sarah, the director of a digital marketing firm. I set up my laptop in Greer's kitchen, making sure the background was plain. "So, Paya," Sarah said, looking at my resume, "you list crisis management as a skill. Can you give me an example?" I thought about the time the power went out 3 hours before Romy's 14th birthday party, and I had wired a generator from the garage to the living room while my parents panicked. "I'm used to high-pressure environments where technical failures need immediate solutions," I said confidently. "I'm good at keeping a cool head when logistics crumble." Sarah smiled. "That's exactly what we need. We have a lot of talented creatives, but we lack people who can actually execute the logistics." The interview went for 40 minutes. By the end, I felt a buzz of adrenaline. I was articulate. I was knowledgeable. I wasn't just Romy's sister. I was Paya. 2 hours later, I got the email. I got the job. It was a paid internship starting immediately. My parents must have sensed that I was slipping away because they tried a new tactic: triangulation. They hosted a family meeting with my aunts and uncles, excluding Aunt Leocadia, and then added me to a massive group chat. Mom created group, Family Unity. "Mom, we are all so worried about Paya. We've decided that for her mental stability, she needs to come home. We are willing to forgive her outburst." "Uncle Dave, Paya family is everything. Don't hold grudges." "Aunt Linda, your poor mother is sick with worry. Come home, honey." I read the messages, feeling a wave of nausea. They were rewriting the narrative. They were the victims. I was the unstable teenager. I typed a response, my hands steady. "Me, I am safe, employed, and happy. I left because my 18th birthday was ignored to plan a party for Romy, and my dinner was canceled to pay for a chocolate fountain. I am not unstable. I am standing up for myself. Please do not contact me unless you are ready to treat me with respect." I left the group. 5 minutes later, Aunt Leocadia texted me separately. "Leocadia, good for you. I've handled Dave and Linda. They know the truth now." As the date of the Sweet 16 approached, the chaos at my parents' house escalated. Greer heard updates from her mom, my Aunt Leocadia, who was getting gleeful reports from the neighbors. Apparently, without my budget spreadsheets, my parents had overspent on the decorations and couldn't afford the final payment for the venue. They lost the deposit I had warned them was non-refundable if late. I saw a video on TikTok that a neighbor had secretly recorded. It showed Romy and my dad screaming at each other in the driveway. "You promised me the country club," Romy was shrieking. "Now we have to have it in the backyard." "I don't have the tracking numbers," Dad yelled back. "I don't know when the payments are due. Your sister used to do this." "Then get her back," Romy screamed. It was tragic, but it was also a mess of their own making. I closed the app. I had work to do. My internship was demanding but rewarding. I was learning SEO, graphic design, and client management. I was making money, real money. The truth finally came out to the extended family at a cousin's graduation dinner. I wasn't there, but Greer was. She told me everything. My parents and Romy arrived late, looking stressed. When Aunt Linda asked why they seemed so frazzled, my mom tried to laugh it off. "Oh, just so busy with Romy's big day. Paya is going through a rebellious phase and refuses to help, so we're doing it all alone." Greer slammed her fork down. "That's a lie," she announced to the whole table. "Greer," my mom warned. "No," Greer said loudly. "Paya isn't rebellious. You forgot her 18th birthday. You canceled her dinner. She moved out because you treat her like a servant. And the only reason you're stressed is because you don't know how to run your own lives without her." The table went silent. Aunt Leocadia nodded in agreement. "It's true. I spoke to Paya. It's shameful how you've treated her." My parents turned red. Romy started crying, saying everyone was being mean to her, but the damage was done. The facade of the perfect family was cracked. 2 weeks into my internship, I got my first paycheck. It wasn't a fortune, but combined with my savings, it was enough. Greer helped me find a tiny studio apartment a few blocks away. It was the size of a shoebox. The floor creaked, the faucet dripped, and the view was of a brick wall. But when I walked in and locked the door, I felt like I was in a palace. I didn't have a bed yet, so I slept on a mattress topper on the floor. I ate takeout noodles sitting on my suitcase, but the air in that apartment felt different. It was mine. I set up my desk by the window. I hooked up my laptop. I bought my own Wi-Fi router, a cheaper one than the beast I had taken from home, and set it up. When the lights blinked green, I smiled. I was 18. I had a job, I had a home, I had done it. 2 weeks before the Sweet 16, a heavy envelope arrived at my new address. My mom must have gotten it from Aunt Leocadia. It was an invitation to the party. It was embossed with gold foil, scented with lavender. Inside, a handwritten note from my mother fell out. "Paya, please come home. We can't do this without you. Be part of the family again. We miss you. Mom." I read it twice. "We can't do this without you. Not we love you. Not we're sorry. Just an admission that they needed my utility. They wanted me there to troubleshoot the music, to manage the caterers, to smooth over the cracks. They wanted the fixer back." I put the invitation in my recycling bin. I felt a profound sense of calm. I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt done. I wasn't going back to be a prop in Romy's show. 3 days before the party, my father showed up at my studio. I didn't buzz him in, so he waited by the mailboxes until I came out to go to work. "Paya," he said, stepping in front of me. He looked older, tired. "Dad," I said, clutching my bag. "Look, I'm sorry," he said. The words sounded clumsy in his mouth. "I'm sorry we overlooked your birthday. It was a mistake." "It wasn't a mistake," I said. "It was a choice. You canceled my dinner." I know, and we want to make it up to you. Come to the party. We'll do a special shout-out for you. We'll get you a cake, too." I almost laughed. "You want me to share Romy's party? To have a pity cake in the corner while she sits on her throne?" "It's better than nothing," he argued. "Paya, the party is a disaster. The lighting guy quit. The backyard looks terrible. We need you to fix the setup." "There it is," I said softly. "You don't want me, you want the IT guy." "I want my daughter," he shouted, losing his temper. "If my birthday mattered, you would have remembered it," I said. "If I mattered, you wouldn't have waited until you needed manual labor to apologize." I walked past him. He didn't follow. The day before the party, I went back to the house one last time. I brought Greer with me for backup. I needed to get my birth certificate and passport from the safe in the office. The house was a wreck. Boxes were everywhere. Half-finished decorations cluttered the hall. My parents swarmed me the moment I walked in. "Thank God you're here," my mom cried, reaching for me. "Quick, look at these lights, they won't sync." "I'm not here to help," I said, stepping back. "I'm here for my documents." Romy came running down the stairs. She looked frantic. "Paya, please, you have to save my Sweet 16. If this party sucks, I'll never live it down. Please, I'll do anything." I looked at my sister. She was selfish, yes, but she was also a product of how they raised her. She was terrified of looking imperfect because that was the only value she had been taught to have. "I'm sorry, Romy," I said gently. "I can't fix this for you. You have to figure it out." I got my papers. Before I left, I placed a letter on the kitchen table. It wasn't an angry rant. It was a calm explanation of why I had to leave, how their neglect had hurt me, and why I was choosing myself. "I'm not your backup plan," I said to the room. "Goodbye." The night of Romy's Sweet 16, a massive thunderstorm rolled in. Since they had lost the venue and moved it to the backyard, everything was soaked. I wasn't there, but social media told the story. The tent leaked. The wind knocked over the floral arch, the one Romy had screamed about. The new DJ played the wrong playlist. a mix of polka and 80s rock instead of the top 40 hits Romy wanted. The climax of the disaster was the cake. Apparently, without my confirmation email, the bakery had sent a generic sheet cake instead of the 3-tiered masterpiece. Romy had a meltdown in the middle of the yard, screaming at the guests to leave. Friends were live streaming it. It was brutal. I watched the clips from my quiet apartment, sipping tea. I didn't feel happy about it. It was sad, but it was a disaster that had nothing to do with me. For the first time in 18 years, the family's failure wasn't my burden to carry. In the weeks following the party, the fallout was severe. The video of Romy screaming went viral locally. My parents were embarrassed to show their faces at the country club. Their reputation as the perfect family was shattered. Extended family members were open about their disapproval. Aunt Leocadia told me that Thanksgiving was going to be very interesting this year. My parents tried to blame the vendors, the weather, and even me for sabotaging them by leaving, but nobody bought it. The control they had exerted over me for years had evaporated. Without me there to absorb the stress and manage the details, they had turned on each other. Romy, surprisingly, went quiet on social media. I heard from a cousin that she was actually angry at Mom and Dad for the first time, realizing that their mismanagement had ruined her night. Meanwhile, my life was blooming. My internship turned into a part-time contract. I made friends with my coworkers. I bought a rug for my apartment. I was building a life that was sturdy, quiet, and mine. 1 year later, I woke up on my 19th birthday. Sunlight streamed into my studio apartment, hitting the plants I had lined up on the windowsill. The room was decorated with thrifted art and warm fairy lights. It was cozy and safe. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Romy. "Romy, happy birthday, Paya. I hope you're okay." It was short, awkward, but real. I texted back, "Thanks, Romy." That evening, Greer, Sam, and Maya came over. We didn't have a floral arch or a chocolate fountain. We ordered Thai food and sat on the floor, laughing until our sides hurt. Greer brought a cake, chocolate with peanut butter frosting, my favorite. As I looked around the room at the people who truly saw me, who loved me not for what I could do for them, but for who I was, I felt a deep sense of peace. I blew out the candles. Walking away that night with the Wi-Fi router in my backpack hadn't been an act of revenge. It was an act of survival. It was the moment I decided that I was worth more than being a background character in someone else's life. It was the best gift I ever gave myself.